Let's settle this like gentlemen.
Hey, Chad, what's going on?
Do violent video games kill? Hi, I'm Dr. Aaron Reiser of the Video Game Violence Research Institute. Our purpose is to teach you about how video game violence affects our youth today.
And what of the land of the rising sun, Japan? Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Yang. Video games are just as popular in Japan as they're here in America. How do they affect society there?
First, what is the perceived problem in America?
Second, does this problem exist in Japan?
And third, what accounts for these differences?
Let's take a quick look at the controversy of violent video games in America.
Video games have become the scapegoat of choice in America for any occurrence of youth violence. Concern over video game violence first became a mainstream American issue with the release of Mortal Kombat in 1992. A fighting game with excessive violence in its fatalities, Mortal Kombat was targeted by Senator Joseph Lieberman as a prime example of why games needed to be constrained by a rating system, leading to the Entertainment Software Ratings Board. With the ESRB in place, the controversy died down until the next generation of consoles. With the release of the PlayStation in 1995, 3D games became the norm, allowing for the portrayal of much more realistic scenes of violence. At the same time, the notorious Grand Theft Auto series began. With its focus on carjacking and random acts of violence, it became an easy target for any opponent of video game violence. The major concern began after the Columbine Massacre in 1999, when it was revealed that the two assailants were fans of the first-person shooters Quake and Doom. Since then, more violent games have been released, such as GTA 3 and God of War, and the concern continues. Given America's history of its treatment of various forms of new culture, such as jazz, pulp comics, and gangster rap, this phenomenon should not be surprising. In fact, video games are frequently blamed whenever there is a case of youth violence in the media. However, a recent survey by The Economist shows that only 35% of video game players are under the age of 18. Furthermore, this same survey shows that in the 90s, as video games were rising in popularity, violence in America was on the decline. Additionally, scientific studies trying to prove a link between video game violence and real-life violence have been totally inconclusive.
Japan, however, are not as quick to utilize that link to violent video games. Increases in youth violence in Japan are more attributed to other societal factors. Japan, however, does not seem to have the same emotional baggage concerning violent video games, at least not close to the extent America seems to carry. Recent increases in youth violence are being attributed to societal factors, something largely ignored in America in favor of more titillating, violent video game scapegoat. As Japan is home to an immense video game industry with worldwide influence in game design, one would think that Japan would have similar concerns about the effect of violence on gamers. While some studies on the subject have been done, for the most part the Japanese do not seem to see any correlation between violent video game playing and increased predisposition to violence. While the realism of video games in Japan continues to increase and violence in games become more lifelike, Japan has a far lower murder rate than America does. Even when violence does strike in Japan, experts almost never blame it on the country's pulp culture. Instead, they point to other stressors, such as trying to succeed at work or studying too hard for school exams. Increased disaffection from family, intense pressure to perform well in school and on entrance exams, and familial dysfunction are understood to be greater factors in the violent outbursts of children, with video games becoming a form of escapism from a harsh reality. Clearly, Japan and America approach the problem of violence in society and its possible connection to video games in very different ways.
However, given the recent increase in globalization, do these cultural differences still reflect their respective video game markets? We asked people on the street what they thought.
I don't think it's really a matter of whether video games are more violent here or in Japan. I think it's actually more of a concept of acceptance. I mean, you've got a lot of entertainment mediums in this country that are typically considered a kid's medium, and video games is just another one. I mean, I don't think as many Republicans or conservatives would be outraged about video games if they saw them as another form of entertainment instead of a form of entertainment for kids only. I mean, why can't Mario have a Mach 5, start shooting out mushrooms? It's a video game. It's just for fun. And if anyone takes it seriously, they're dumb.
I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I played this one Japanese game about a month or so back. It's called Killer 7. Man, that's some messed up shit. There was like blood flying everywhere, bodies exploding. It was weird. But I heard the director say that he made it with an American audience in mind, so I'm not sure what to think, really. It's like, violence is so over the top and unrealistic, but it was still really violent.
Well, when you play a video game, like when you're playing it all the time, and it takes up like 6 hours of your life, like each day, I personally think that becomes part of your life. You just like reading a book. Reading a book, yeah, you can take them seriously. You can think them just entertainment, but at the same time, you are influenced by them, and you have to take that into account. So all the violence that you do see, you kind of get desensitized to it. So I believe that, yeah, they do make people have a little bit more violent tendencies.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Japan doesn't seem to like violence as much as I think America does. Because Japan, they like more friendly games, more colorful games, more games like Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 2 is the #1 game in Japan right now. It's very happy, it's got Disney characters and they're all full of love and happiness and enjoyment. American games just like shooting people in the head. What's that? I don't like that. No. Japan, they are a beautiful country and a beautiful people.
Video games, right. Video games can be violent, but, you know, art is violent, music is violent, humanity is violent, and it's just an expression of what people are and do. So, you know, I want to collect Pokemon, and some people collect Franklin Mint plates and, you know, antiquing. You know, there's a whole verb about that. So you can go antiquing and you can collect antiques. And what you do with a video game is exactly what you do in real life. So some people really get off to hunting animals and shooting them and skinning them. And other people like to do the same thing with zombies on TV. So whether one shakes the hand of the other is irrelevant, I think, because ultimately we are here, we're human, and we do human things.
Video games? What on earth?
It's just maybe in Japan it's more widely accepted because the video game culture in Japan in general seems to be more widespread. Adults and children alike both play video games. With a lot of the recent games that have been released in Japan, one of which was recently released in America, Brain Age, adults are playing video games. And if adults are playing video games, then it doesn't become a stereotype that video games are just for children. It becomes more widely accepted that video games are for everyone.
Man, violent video game, I do violence in life, right? I do violence in life. I don't need no video games, I don't need no Japan. Well, I like Grand Theft Auto. My home got that. He got that game. Man, Grand Theft Auto, you go around, you shoot people, you stab people, you take their money. That's like life. That's like my life. Got it? You got that? You don't mess with me. I cut you. I cut you good. Yeah, I don't know about no Japan.
While it is true that Japanese and American gamers tend to have different tastes in video games and differences in opinions on the role of violence in video games, it would seem the largest difference between the reactions of the two cultures to the effects of violent video games can be attributed to a difference in public understanding and acceptance of blame. America tends to look for easy answers, relying on media watchdogs to identify the newest popular culture threat to the safety of children, while Japan tends to blame the dissolution of the Japanese family system. Until concrete results on the effects of violent video games can be determined, neither culture can be said to be right.